Tragic news out of Maryland. According to the Baltimore Sun, a graduating senior and Army officer, Richard Collins III, was killed by a racist, by a white supremacist. And we can say that definitively because of the associations that the perpetrator had. Collins was killed after being approached, according to the Baltimore Sun, by the suspect whose last name is Urbanski. Collins was waiting with friends for an Uber ride. And according to his friends, they said that the suspect was screaming as he approached Collins. And he said, quote, step left if you know what's best for you. And this left Collins disoriented, and he said no. And once he said no, Urbanski stabbed him, killing him. This was a young man. And I know a lot of times when these tragedies happen, we talk about all the accolades of the individual, if we can find any. But this was, you know, this was a hate crime. This was a crime. If you look at the associations, the FBI is trying to determine whether or not they're going to categorize it as a hate crime. But in their research, if you look up this young man, if you want to call him that, Sean Christopher Urbanski, he was affiliated with an organization on a Facebook group called the Alt-Reich. Not alt-right, but Alt-Reich, as in the Third Reich, as in Nazi Germany, Hitler. This is one of the groups that he was affiliated with. And we see this time and again that organizations like this, or groups, even if we can't call it an official organization, once the reporters from Baltimore Sun actually approached the administrator of this Facebook group, which has since been deleted. It had over 1,000 members associated with it. And this Sean Christopher Urbanski was a member of that group. Once they were approached by the media, they immediately said, oh, this is just where we gather for fun and games. And actually, Max, I said for you to delete those two memes, but if you can, pull them back up. Because these are the types of things that they share. They share memes, they make jokes of it, they make light of it, and say that this type of hatred and this type of racism is not meant, it's not violent, it's just fun. And so these are two images that were shared on this Facebook group page that the suspected murderer is affiliated with. The first one, and Matthew Lamb is the administrator of the group, and he shares this picture. You can see what it says, and for those on the radio audience, he says, "At least I'm not a N-word." And then the next image, it is all of the worst stereotypes. How do you attract a black man? They have an image of a naked white woman with a old E 40 ounce with a bucket of chicken and a bag of weed. This was also shared by the administrator of the group that Sean Christopher Urbanski was affiliated with on Facebook. Now, we're supposed to think this is all fun and games, right? This is them expressing their First Amendment rights, but this clearly contributed to the mindset of this individual, because once he attacked this group, he attacked the black person in the group unprovoked. No motive, didn't know this guy from anyone else. This is, didn't know whether or not this was a thug, whether or not this was, and I use that language specifically. I use that specifically because it's the language that is it's the new N-word, right? And so he has no context of knowing who this man was that he killed except for his skin color. And while this Facebook group is peddling this hate speech as though it's simply just fun and games, there are always going to be people in your midst who take this to heart and who act out on it. And this to me, not just the death of this young man, but we've seen so many cases of people who expressly use the same language that's promoted by these alt-right organizations, that's promoted by these neo-Nazi white supremacist organizations, and it's being shoved down our throats in the broader American community because we're supposed to respect their First Amendment right to say whatever they want to say. Never mind what they're saying is contributing to the radicalization of homegrown terrorists, white nationalist terrorists that extract and carry out these acts of violence and murder. And here we are with a young man And it doesn't matter to me whether or not this young man was an Army lieutenant, he was an officer before he was supposed to graduate tomorrow. That doesn't matter because he's a human being first. But here we are, a Army lieutenant, young man graduating from college on tomorrow, or he would have graduated on tomorrow, dead, because this guy, Sean Christopher Ubansky, thought that he had the right to take this man's life because he didn't move out of the way when he told him to move out of the way. It is time for us to call these organizations out for what they are. They are hate groups. They are terrorist organizations, and anyone affiliated with them, anyone who's soft pedaling it, anyone who's just flirting with it, you are complicit with this type of violence. You are the new KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. This is who you are. Own it. You are the modern day Nazis. You own it, and you can flirt. You can say this is all games. Ha ha. He. This is just a bunch of memes that we're sharing. But you are contributing to a level of violence in the United States for which you have blood on your hands. And all these YouTube personalities, all these Twitter heads, all these people with large followings who think this is cute, who think this is funny, think this is a game, and ha, we'll throw up our white supremacist sign, and it's all a game because it really doesn't mean anything. But for us, it means that, you know, we're just making an inside joke about white power and all this kind of stuff. No, this is who you are. You have self-identified yourself, and we know who you are. We know where you are. And most importantly, all of the broader society knows exactly who you are. There's plenty of photos, there's plenty of pictures, there's plenty of stuff on the internet to forever mark you for being the racist scum that you are. And so in 5 years, when it's no longer cute to be a part of the alt-right, and you have to get a job because you can't get clicks off your bullshit anymore, then all of your employers will be reminded that you were flying the flag of Kekistan that looks eerily similar to the flag of the Nazis, that you thought it was cute to flirt with all of these alt-right ideas because you thought it was a game, but ultimately you contributed to the radicalization that led to domestic terrorism and the deaths, plural, of Americans. Paul Joseph Watson, Prison Planet, Sargon of Akkad, Cassandra Fairbanks, all of you who think this is a game, you have blood on your hands because you are fostering this community that thinks that racism and white supremacy and Nazism is cute. But what happens is, while you sit back with your pseudo-intellectualism, there are people, believe it or not, who are dumber than you, who actually takes this to heart and acts out on it. You are a part of a hate-filled hate group, racist, terrorist organization, and you have to own it. Anyone who is alt-right, whatever you call yourselves, you own it.